And then Siva Hakpal, a former Afghan, a former Afghan diplomat, and you served at the Afghan embassy in London. Before that, you were the head of the USA desk at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Islamic Republic of Afghanistan, and also worked with UNAMA at the UN and Action Aid International. You did your master's degree in England, and now you're currently working on your PhD at SOAS. So I think a woman who's striving constantly and developing her skills. And diplomacy is your field. We will talk a little bit about it. Diplomacy is of utmost importance. And diplomacy is also a sharp tool and a way to resist the resist in a different way. Then we have, and this is a very special honor, Parwana with us, Ibrahim Khail Nirjabi, a human rights activist. But I think this is not really describing you in your capacity. You are one of the strong, brave women who dared to protest in the streets of Kabul, stand up, facing the Taliban, facing the worst one can imagine. And I think you will tell us more about, I think you are part of the first generation of women who protested the apartheid regime, and you were imprisoned, you were tortured, and currently you live in exile in Germany, in Frankfurt, I think. Yeah. So thank you for joining us, and thank you for your bravery. Manzoor Hussein Ayoubi. Manzoor, this is a home spiel for you. You are from the Diplomatic Academy, from the Vienna School of International Studies, and you are the vice president of the Solidarity Group Afghanistan. And I think you are deeply engaged in supporting civil society, both here, supporting Afghan refugees, working with them and for them, and also for the Afghanistan Solidarity Group. And what I really like to mention, you find it in the written CV, that you did your master's degree on the violations of women's rights by the Taliban. And this is very important. The male support is absolutely important. That's not a women's issue. So for this reason, I highlight it. So we have this panel. And I would say I'm looking forward to an engaging discussion. The title, One Struggle, Many Movements, is a hopeful, positive title. One struggle, it's a joint struggle, but many movements. You know, it's not a unified struggle. It's not a unified struggle, not inside Afghanistan, not in the diaspora, and I think it's important to acknowledge that, and it's important to realize that diplomacy, talking peacefully in Rumi's mindset, I would say, you know, with a low voice, in the spirit of empathy, understanding, is important. And I would just say a few words at the beginning that Afghanistan, we should be remembered, is a country with an impressive history and culture. Over the century, it has been destroyed over and over again, and the latest takeover of the Taliban was one, hopefully, last effort, you know, to destroy the countries, to contradict the efforts of the brave people who over 2 decades were on the road building a new society. But building a new society is always a fraud, is always fraught with many hurdles. I don't want to go deeper into the corruption, the patriarchal values, the fear of change. That's also important. Change is not always welcome, you know, it's always a mixed bag. But there was the promise and the reality of gender equality and justice, and people have begun their gradual journey, and the journey was stopped, and I think the moment when the dreams were shattered and the whole process was stopped has a date. And it has a date which came as a total shock. And I would like to start with you now, Fawzia. I yesterday evening or the day before, I listened into a few talks, and I came across the talk you had with Christian Amanpour, and that was immediately after the fall of Kabul. And you said, I'm under total shock, and I'm thinking of the young generation that never lived under Afghanistan, under Taliban rule in Afghanistan. My children, they have no idea of Taliban. I mean, it's storytelling, and now they have to potentially endure what we have gone through and what we have been standing up against for so many times, and you paid a high price. There were attempts on your life, you know, you were under death threats. So at that moment you said, I'm not sure, where do we go from here? And maybe we can pick up from here. It's 3.5 years. Where did you go from there?
I think, well, first of all, thank you so much. Thank you, Ambassador Martina Edith. You're a great friend, as Ambassador Andesha said. Ambassador Bakhtari said, we keep mentioning Ambassador Andesha in Geneva. Sorry, I'm mixing the two, but both of you are our heroes. As she said, I think Vienna process will be not completed without your presence each time when we're in Vienna. Obviously, the credit goes to Ambassador Wolfgang Patrisch and his team and everyone who puts efforts, but it's a collective efforts, right? So thank you for listening to us every time we are here. I think you're right. It's a generation that experience the vicious circle of violence. Yet again, it seems as if we are on top of the mountain and in search of water, and we finally have water, yet you see that there is another mountain, and then you have to climb the mountain again, and you have to climb again and again. And the sad part of this is none of this is the architect and product of the people of Afghanistan. We are like, in the middle of the regional rivalries and the global politics, and we have become the main victim and paid the highest price. Martina, you mentioned about, the fact that we need to look forward and see how the European crisis of illegal migrants could be resolved and why it happened. I think we cannot look forward without looking back and without seeing why we came where we are. If you look at Afghanistan and the region, Central and South Asia, briefly I would like to describe why we are here. We are now where we are. I will start by saying that, again, we are a victim of global politics. If you look from 11th century to 15th century, actually Central Asia, especially where Afghanistan on that time regarded itself part of Central Asia, was part of the family of modern and moderate Islam of Sufism. In fact, my grandparents, they all studied in Bukhara and Samarkand the Sufism Islam, which was through arts and poetry. There was no sword, there was no guns and violence, and it was spreading very fast. But now the region is a radicalized region. Not only Central Asia, I would say, even South Asia is more radicalized. And Afghanistan nowadays is kind of the home for 22 military extremist groups. I'm not a professional on military issues, but from my social understanding, Afghanistan is the home for 22 military extremist groups. Why? Because during the Cold War, millions of dollars from the global north went to Afghanistan, to the neighboring countries, where these jihadi groups that were equipped, that were financed by the global north, then by America, by European money, by your taxpayers, they were actually supported to defeat USSR without any benchmarks on human rights or on women's rights or how this money is spent. So some of the money was spent to defeat USSR, which was defeated at the end because of the resistance and then the jihad of people of Afghanistan. But what happened was most of the money was actually spent to create other radicalized groups. So from a Sufism Islam, we changed to a radicalized version of interpretation of Islam. Islam is one religion, but it's about different interpretation. So then we became a radicalized region, home for Al-Qaeda, home for Taliban, now home for ISIS, home for TTP, home for Jaish, like all these military extremist groups that you name it, for the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, which pose real threat to global security. And before the Taliban were controlling Afghanistan, at least 80-85% of Afghanistan in 2001, we were asking for the global solidarity because we thought that Afghanistan is a base now for military extremist group. If you recall, I think most of you are very young because I can see most people are here very young. But then when Ahmad Shah Massoud, the father, came to Europe, he warned the European. He said, this is going to come to your border. Probably you remember. It was only 3-4 months after that the 11th September attack happened, right? And followed by the incidents of the 9/11, and then the incidents in Afghanistan, and we experienced a period where we thought we took everything for granted. We thought this is end of it. It's going to be, as you said, it's going to be beginning of a new life where we will be part of a global community. Afghanistan will go to its origin. Women were in school, in universities. Afghanistan was enjoying the most, I would say, liberal constitution. I'm not talking about how, the political structure, etc. was, but I'm talking from a human, basic fundamental rights perspective. It was one of the most liberal constitution. We had 25% women in the parliament, very liberal media, one of the most liberal media, actually. And it didn't come easily. We had to, argue to come to that level. And all of a sudden, in a matter of few hours, not even a night, you wake up in the morning, 15th of August, at 3 o'clock, like a sandcastle. Everything basically collapsed in front of your eyes. It's a shock. We're still in that. Mm-hmm. And especially the heart-wrenching part of it is it was not designed and architected by us. It was designed by the people that we trusted the most, that we relied the most. It was designed by our international partners who actually walked away in 1992 when the USSR was defeated. They said, okay, mission accomplished. It's not my responsibility. They walked away. This was the same history repeating itself very, very brutally. On the 15th of August, the international community said, not our job. We signed the deal with the Taliban. They're going to fight on our behalf with ISIS and secure the world. They were brought to power in that narrative. But the world is not secure, and it's even worse. Taliban have inspired many military extremist groups. Women's rights, you all talked about it. I'm not going to repeat that again because you know that Afghanistan is the hell on earth for women. Because what rights you can give an example that is saved, every right is taken away from women. Mm-hmm. And you will have more flow of migrants, illegal migrants, I must tell you, because people have no option, no choice. Between 8 to 12 million people actually were forced to leave Afghanistan. And there is a say, nobody wants to leave their home unless your home is not in the mouth of shark. Now, our home is in the mouth of shark. Many people decide to leave their homes. Coming to Europe, they're going to pose a lot of challenges to you. But you must not regard, I think we must not go to a collective punishment of the people of Afghanistan because few individuals commit violence. We escaped those few individuals. We must not collectively punish the people of Afghanistan because a lot of those people actually have no choice but to come here. The violent characteristic of individuals do not represent their identity of their nation or their country. These kind of criminals exist in any society. You can deport them back to Afghanistan if they have a crime record without engaging with the Taliban, because this is their country. They can go back to their country. We all must make sure that we go beyond this engagement on deportation of Afghan criminals who are in your soils, but not majority of the people who are cream of our society. They had to leave their country. They are in your country. You must make use of them. The criminals can be deported back to Afghanistan, but in the meantime, we must all work for a democratic Afghanistan. Why should we have to leave our country? Honestly, Martina, it is not good moments for us to live in Europe. No. How much beautiful your continent is, for us, I don't, I don't compare it to the dusty streets of my city in Kabul, and to the smells of bread, as I gave the example yesterday from the bakeries of Afghanistan. These are beautiful world, but I congratulate to you because this is your country. Help us get our country back. And you can only do that by helping us to fulfill democracy. Because I just read this, all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. Help us achieve that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Fawzia. And yeah, this is a call for solidarity. Solidarity will create stability, and this is the way forward for all of us. And even if we haven't chosen to live together, I think we have to make it happen and live together peacefully. This is the starting point for peace building, how to live together in our daily lives and everyday lives. And now I turn over to Mr. Kanjani. And you represent the political office for the National Resistance Front and the resistance. And now it's interesting how the resistance will create this space, where peace can be relived, where you can win peace back from this autocratic, despotic, suffocating regime that's currently like a big cloud over all the people of Afghanistan, whether women, children, men, everybody suffers by now. I mean, definitely women the most, because they can hardly breathe anymore and move, but it's a very, very an extreme situation for all of the people. So give us an insight how the resistance works, so in understandable terms, so that we can get an idea.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. It's such a pleasure to be here. Allow me to turn on first, I think, my mic. I wanted to save battery for the Academy, so I have to be compensated for that. And secondly, I have to join you, Madam Ambassador. Actually, I wanted to have a little discussion with both Farhad John and Mansour John this afternoon what to say. And they borrowed me 2 pieces of papers, and I took my notes there, and I forgot I lost those 2 pages. So I'm so sorry. Yeah. Well, let me begin by thanking the Academy and Madam Ambassador for giving us this opportunity to share our comments and our feelings. I think that's important. We have to connect to feelings. Dr. it was such a pleasure to talk to you today, and thank you for the dedication to Afghanistan. I think I'm the last person to know you. I hope our relationship remain longer than the others, to take more advantage of that. Allow me also take this opportunity to thank the Austrian government and the people of Austria for hosting the 5th round of Vienna process for us. We're really enjoying this open environment in order not to build unity, but also to express frustration that we have to what's happening in Afghanistan. But more specifically, Ambassador Patrish and Madam Ambassador, we were not here if you guys didn't put a lot of energy and efforts. Connected to this, I would also I want to also convey the message of my boss, the leader of NRF, to extend our condolences for the recent terrorist attack happened in this beautiful country. We, the Afghan, knows the pain of the victims of these kind of attacks. And we condemn that strongly, and we really hope to look back to the pushing factors and to the ideology that could promote such an act of violence, not only in our country, but around the globe. When it comes to the resistance, it's a very beautiful and positive term, but in the past 1 year that I have took the office, I'm going everywhere to elaborate a philosophical understanding of what resistance in Afghanistan means. Considering the negative historical memory of the war in Afghanistan, and secondly, the fatigue that the international support had created in the past 20 years in Afghanistan. So to draw a line between what we have discussed in Vienna process, a very protected border like the Chinese one between the Vienna process and the conversation today here, I would like to make it a little bit more academic. I'm not capable of doing that, but I'm trying to explain it in a philosophical way in order to face our political responsibility that we have. As you all know, most of the Afghan participants are the generation of post-2002 in Afghanistan, the war and terror. I was in Kabul when the 9/11 happened. And we were not part of, we had no agency to what has happened. And then the global North decided to invade Afghanistan, and they started the war on terror. And they mobilized a group of people inside Afghanistan that sadly now we are inheriting that. Honestly, this resistance has started before that, but it has given a lot of momentum when the war on terror started in Afghanistan. Specifically for my generation, we are fighting this Americans' war, to be very honest. So the Afghanistan divided into two parts. One was opposing the invasion, the war on terror, and the rest decided to support the war on terror. And this has continued until 2021, when the NATO decided, more specifically Americans, to withdraw from Afghanistan. Two new dimensions added to the conversation about Afghanistan, I think, which relates to the resistance. One, post-2001, the conventional understanding in the West has been and still is that they're reserving the entitlement of telling us what to do. When the war and terror was happening in Afghanistan, it was very legitimate for us to fight for them, to protect the European bases, the American and the Brit bases around Afghanistan. But the same commander, General Khalid Amiri, that everybody knows, who is now the chief commander of our forces inside Afghanistan, and he used to be a NATO-trained general in Afghanistan. Now his fight is demoralized by the international community. I think the key question is the moralization and ethics around this resistance. And this is where the frustration of the people of Afghanistan is coming. The people of Afghanistan is seeking a question, why sometimes the conflict is legitimate and why sometimes it's forbidden? And do the people like the people of Afghanistan has the right to take the decision for self-defense beyond the geopolitical interest of the either regional and beyond countries or not? I think this is where the key philosophical reason and cause for our resistance is. We certainly believe that the peace for the Taliban means surrender and making an allegiance to a ghost leader. Madam Koofi is here. I used to be a junior state minister for peace myself. Think for a minute. Why would I be enjoying an exiled life with a lot of risk and threat, going and mobilizing the international community in order to help us to fight? I'm not that much naive, but the key question is no one is asking me why you have shifted from being a junior state minister to a person now representing a military and political opposition in Afghanistan. And that's very clear, that's the Taliban. What we have decided, and I think this is based on the decision of the people of Afghanistan, we say we want a positive peace. We still believe a positive peace. But this is very consistent to what the Europe wants in Ukraine and what the United States wants in Middle East. We want peace with strength. We want peace with dignity. And why there is a double standard? When it comes to Ukraine, everybody is preaching for peace with strength. 2 days ago, the G7 announced collectively that they are after a strong peace. While the Gaza ceasefire is running at the moment, the mother of bombs are coming to Israel. But when it comes to context of Afghanistan, why we have this double standard? I think our appeal for the liberal Europe is one of the greatest backset. I was last night watching the key organizers of the Munich conference, and he was crying. And I saw, and I felt so bad. It was, I think, middle of the night. And this is coming from a democratic setback where we compromised our values, our ethics towards the power, towards those who believe only power, violence, and now ended up to that situation that we have to cry for ourselves and for our Europe. Let me bring it back to something, make it more. Do I have time?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. I can stop now because I told you, you can tell me shut up, I will shut up.
You shouldn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine with me. The best solution for Afghanistan is the peace. The less costly process for Afghanistan will be a process ended up to a democratic structure in Afghanistan. Have you ever thought that in the past 3 years, most of you might be engaging in the different things, only in background presence, which used to be used by the Americans, now we have more than 17,000 that there are 3 allegations, and 1 allegation is affiliation with the National Resistance Front of Afghanistan. Do we enjoy such a misery of our people? No. But what we should do, shall we surrender our souls to the power of evil? What the Taliban could do more that the international community should say, okay, they are bad. Tell me, where is this standard? We can communicate with the leader of the Taliban to reach to that level. I'm sure they are evolving on daily basis. What is that level, I think, that could allow a resistance in Afghanistan? To conclude, let's put it in a historical context, this beautiful geography. When fascism invaded the Europe, I think there was a very fundamental question. Shall we accept a status quo which is based on terror and monopoly, which one guy could dictate everything, or shall we stand against that? And I think the decision was right that we say, we do connect ourselves to such a situation. My final humble request is, we have been sitting with the Taliban more than years and years. We know the Taliban much better than everyone else. Please, please do not allow the Taliban to dictate your policies in Europe. This is an absolute mistake that the rest of international community did. The left Taliban has a leverage. Let me build to what Madam Koofi said. 400, 500 criminals, you're going to send it to Afghanistan. What is the guarantee that they're going to be weaponize it and send it back to Iran and Turkey and come here more radical, more frustrated, more committed for revenge? Overall weaponization of the Afghans to deal it with the Taliban and make it as a leverage is inhuman for God's sake. I was sad seeing this liberal Europe is weaponizing Afghan immigrants in order to make a deal with the Taliban. And where is that soul? I really hope, madam, that we take this as not as a political conversation. Let's take it as a human being. Now, in these days, the only weapon that the Taliban is playing to be rewarded is the human. We will accept this offer if you will accept that offer. And I think we have been we have been dealing with the Taliban. This system is not working. We really hope, we really pray, we really wish you all the best. And as I see the situation, because I'm coming from closely what's happening on daily basis, I receive intel, I see the picture very cloudy, sadly. And we're gonna all pay the prices, and sadly, the security cannot be defined within a geography. Now the definition of the security is very globalized. Thank you so much. And I really hope that I could have answered to your question.
Thank you. I think it's important to hear the inside story and not only the assumptions about resistance, because when we think of resistance, it's more in terms of bloodshed and conflicts we have seen and which are kind of history is rhyming when we think of resistance. It's over and over again the same, and peace is often not really connected with resistance. Nevertheless, I think we will have a few interesting questions, myself as well, in the Q&A then. Thank you so far for your deliberations, and now I would like to ask Ms. Naziba Hakbal, since you are a diplomat and your terrain is are the international organizations, and you, I think, have been very engaged in the question how legal frameworks can shape our responses to the current situation. The question for me is it a realistic hope that international legal mechanisms will have a substantial role or a critical role in pressuring the Taliban? Are they partners for negotiations at the international table? I mean, is this just a fantasy or is it a reality? I think it's time to become realistic. So what is the way forward? And I think the whole discussion around gender apartheid, there have been important developments in the recent month from the UN and ICC in working towards the codification of gender apartheid under international law. And I think it's absolutely, we all agree how important it is to hold those accountable for crimes against humanity, against girls and women. It would be great if you could walk us through the process, but not only the mechanisms, but actually the reality. What will it bring? People are asking. So many papers and reports are produced. What is the impact? And when will we feel the impact? I mean the women in Afghanistan.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us. Good evening, all, and very delighted and honored to be sharing today's panel. And thank you for your kind introduction. After interventions of Ms. Koofi and Mr. Khanjani, I think the question that you posed, it's very much directing us to the what I want to discuss or how the conversation should flow. I will not touch upon the dire situation of girls and women in Afghanistan, and it's now kind of public knowledge that all we know that what Afghan women are going through. It's in the contemporary history of not only Afghanistan and in human history, the way that women have been caged in Afghanistan never happened anywhere. to the extent that now even they are not allowed to, women are not allowed to hear each other's voice or attend public parks. And also you have been witnessed and seen resistance of Afghan women to this suppression, which we have the honor of having Ms. Ibrahim Khail. She would discuss that, how they resisted. But what their resistance brought us after 3 years, I think it's very important to focus on. And that resistance is that you may have heard that, we are talking about gender apartheid, which is a very kind of new term that was not only being talked during this our current Taliban regime, but it was also the discussion happened in 1990s when they were ruling first. At the same time, there are other international legal mechanisms that made headlines. For example, the International Criminal Court prosecutor requested arrest for 2 Taliban leaders, Haibatullah and their Justice Minister Haqqani, there was a headline that has resigned or going to resign.
Chief Justice.
Chief Justice. So this is a very important kind of accomplish for not only for women movement of Afghanistan, but also I think for international legal system, because this international legal system has taken years, at least from the establishment of the UN and other international legal instruments. And we need to apply it in a kind of situation that now we are in Afghanistan, although many international legal experts, they say that, what we have at the moment in our disposal in terms of international legal instrument, it is not enough to respond to the dire situation of Afghanistan. And that's why there is a campaign which is going on and leading by Afghan women, the codification of gender apartheid under international criminal law. So this aspect itself, I think, although we are far from the codification, but using this term by international legal experts, by academics, by international policymakers itself is an accomplishment, because there was a time that people would refrain from using this term, but also we have seen that the gender apartheid term was used or by the resolution that passed last year by the European Court of Justice and European Court of Justice or European Council. They passed a resolution and they have asked that Afghan women should be granted asylum based on gender and national identity. So you can, it's a slow process, but you see that there is these legal or triggering this legal mechanism is having its impact. And there's also another legal mechanism which is at the moment being announced by 4 countries, the Netherlands, Canada, Australia, and Germany. And Germany, I think, is more leading on that. And I think also something around more than 20 countries are supporting it. And I think we understand, because here a lot of students are here and they would want to know more kind of, precise context that, these international legal mechanisms has limited enforcement system, because we know that it's not like a domestic legal system that we have a police or the court ruling would have a kind of immediate implication. But I think what is important to kind of emphasize that utilizing these powerful instruments would have legal, political, and diplomatic implication, and we already can see that implication. For example, after Karim Khan announced the arrest. So there was a kind of, we have also even heard that, Haibatullah, the supreme leader of the Taliban, they have changed their location. And also there was kind of conversation among the Taliban that, are we criminals? Are we committing crimes against humanity? Of course, the ICC itself, the gender persecution under Article 7 of the Rome Statute has been used in the context of Mali against Al-Hassan. The process, it's lengthy, but it's possible. And then the ICJ, which is International Court of Justice, which is more not criminal proceeding, but it's more like under CEDAW, which is more kind of, civil kind of proceeding, that the Taliban are violating all the conventions of CEDAW. And Afghanistan government in 2003 ratified and passed or acceded to this convention. Not only CEDAW, there's another convention which is International Convention Against Torture. That can also be triggered. And there is another convention that I cannot remember exactly the name, but there are 3 to 4 conventions that can be triggered. And the legal implication of one system can have or can pave the way for another system. For example, if the ICJ, which is International Court of Justice, if they announce a provisional or final judgment or ruling that the Taliban have violated CEDAW Convention, which is the CEDAW Convention is a convention of the elimination of violence against women. Of course, the Taliban will not reverse their, gender apartheid or their rulings against women oppression. But there is, according to the UN Charter, some mechanism has been already envisioned in how to implement the ICJ Convention. For example, the convention, the ruling of the court can be ratified by the UN Security Council, and we understand that UN Security Council, there is a rift on Afghanistan between the members, but there's also a consensus between UN Security Council members on violation of women, that is happening. And this will give more, the stand in the condemnation of international community in terms of violence against women, more legally binding stand. And this legally binding stand will also enhance the advocacy of women internationally. Not only that will enhance the advocacy of women internationally, this one legal system will enhance another ruling system, which means that codification of gender apartheid could be kind of the documentation that would happen under 2 legal systems that will enhance the codification of gender apartheid. And what it would have diplomatic implication, the diplomatic implication could be that countries that have at the moment engagement with the Taliban, they would restrain from that engagement, hopefully, assuming that they are aiding the violation of international law. So I think these mechanisms might not bring us, to the kind of situation that, we would be able to see that, we will see the Taliban in International Criminal Court, or they will reverse the ban, but it will isolate them. It will take the legitimacy from them, which has already been taken, but more like, it will also mobilize the public opinion against the Taliban. It's already happening in Afghanistan. It's already shaping the view of, international players. So I think there is hope on that, and but at the same time, I would more like kind of encourage here, because we know that in the room the diversity that I can see, particularly in terms of what I have been told, that diplomats will be here, or policymakers, or students, that what I would call that persuade your countries to join the ICJ and support this mechanism. But at the same time, I think writing about gender apartheid, researching like, our panelist, he has done his thesis on women's rights, or writing more. We need more academic literature to be created, because production of these literature would also enable, policymakers and legal practitioners to, take further steps into codification. I'll stop here.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think the term gender apartheid and the application of gender apartheid to the situation of women in Afghanistan is really important in terms also of an awareness-raising campaign. So it's all the legal mechanisms are complicated, but there are plenty of lawyers who can develop it further, and there will come the time when the perpetrators will be held accountable, and there needs to be the mechanisms in place for that, so that the awareness-raising efforts have to be underpinned with legal mechanisms. Starting it then, will be a little bit late, but it's preparedness. And I think preparedness is also part of our ongoing efforts, to support what is happening. The pushback is happening in various ways: resistance, preparedness, awareness raising, and
making the international mechanisms work.
Exactly, yeah, and we have them. We build them up, and we trust in the institutions, and it's all we have now in situations of crisis. International institutions are our pillar, our pillar to make to hold the fabric of society together. Now I'm turning to a very special guest today, Parvana Nirjabi, a human rights activist. I've already introduced you, and please give your remarks now.
Thank you so much, and it's a pleasure for me that I'm here and I can speak and share my experience. Good evening, everyone. First of all, when I want to start my speech, I want to add something. My English is not perfect, but I hope when I speak, everyone know what I say. I want to speak about my experience, about demonstration of women in Afghanistan, and about the challenge, and also what we want. And all of it, I think, is 3 parts I want to speak. The first point I want to speak, I want to start to story of demonstration women in Afghanistan. It's a historic work about Afghanistan, and I think it's the first time after a long time. It's the first work the woman stood up or start up against the Taliban, like a terrorist group. Everybody knows the Taliban is a terrorist group, and the woman stood up against the regime of Taliban and want right and fighting with Taliban. When the Taliban came to Kabul and took the control of Afghanistan, especially the government of Afghanistan, on 15 August 2021, it was a dark and disappointing days for people in Afghanistan, especially for women, and it was mean that the Afghanistan go back, and before the regime of Taliban, I think before 2000, the Afghanistan go back, and that time the woman in Afghanistan had a choice. Be silent and stay at home and just watching all of suffering, all of torture, or no. We open another picture for Afghanistan, a new face for Afghanistan, and stood up against the regime of Taliban, and we fight with them. And finally, we choose we should stand up against the Taliban and organize the demonstration against the regime of Taliban. today I should speak about my personal experience, my first demonstration against of Taliban on the 15th of August 2021. That day the Taliban came to Afghanistan, and that time I had a protest against of Taliban. And it was a small group of women, but on 3rd of September 2021, we can organize it a huge protest against of Taliban. And we started the protest in the street Kabul, and that time I saw all of torture and the real face of Taliban. And after, I want to add it, one issue before I forgot it. The other province also do women start demonstration against of Taliban. And for me, I proud it that I am one of those women that organized protests against of Taliban and the regime of Taliban in Afghanistan. And it's not easy work for us. Our demonstration not just in the street of Kabul. We organize it at home, at media, at social media, and international place. We made protest and share all of issue in Afghanistan and all of suffering under the regime of Taliban during this 3 or more than 3 years. And I want to share my experience, it's a personal experience. When I start protest against of Taliban, and when I went to the street, I couldn't believe I came alive at home. And when I went to protest, I speak with my mom, with my brother, with my sister, with my all of family, because my family also a victim in under the rule of Taliban. My father died because the Taliban killed him. My brother lost the eye because the attack of Taliban, my brother belonged. And also I'm a victim because the Taliban arrested me. And I saw the face of all of my family, and I get in a special energy. And tomorrow I went to protest, and I chatted our rights and our what we want. And like me, more women in Afghanistan has this experience like me. And during the protest, we chatting freedom, work, and justice, all of things we want, and chat in the street and the home and media, all of place. Unfortunately, the Taliban arrested me on the 19th of January 2022. And the Taliban punished me, the Taliban tortured me, the Taliban, it's not easy for me that I speak about the jail of Taliban. And about 1 month, I felt all of suffering, torture, violence, and all of dark day under the rule of Taliban in the jail. And for me, it's not a jail. It's like a hell, a real hell that I saw. And also I want to add, I'm not only woman, the Taliban arrested me. Like me, the Taliban arrested a lot of women in Afghanistan. And also the Taliban punished women in Afghanistan because those women chatting non-car azadi. It's mean right work freedom. And I write here because something, when I speak, I forgot some word, and it's make easy to work for me. And also, I want chatting this sentence in this place to all of person that see me, hear me, all of things. The woman is our identity. Nobody can take this identity from us. I fight, and I fight for this identity, and I keep it for all of time, even I'm alive here. And the end, and the third part, I want to say what we want from United Nations, international community, the human rights organization, and other people here. The international community and the United Nations and human rights organization have responsibility to stand with the women of Afghanistan. I kindly urge you to take you and your daughter in the place those women in Afghanistan. What you do, you be silent and you just you fight for justice and freedom. And also, we want please boycott the regime of Taliban and recognize gender apartheid against of Taliban and against of I'm so sorry, against the woman. And yeah, I think it's okay as a crime against of humanity. I think it's finished, and thank you. And I also hope that every person know what I say.
Thank you so much. I think this is a very impressive testimonial, and thank you for taking us on this journey. It's unimaginable, you know. You talk about torture, imprisonment,
yeah,
you know,
it's
standing
not
up
easy.
against.
It's not easy for me because
No.
I have a lot of trauma,
Yeah.
and now I also speak with psychologists and take medicine about this issue.
Yeah.
But it's my job that I share everything and every suffering enduring these years the Taliban come to Afghanistan. And I think it's my job.
Yeah. And I think we understand what our job is, you know. When we listen to you, we understand that we are responsible to listen to you and also to think about consequences and not take it lightly, what is happening to you and the women in Afghanistan, and also the women who left Afghanistan and the diaspora, the refugees. I mean, we live with them. So this is also a shared reality, and I think we should be a little bit more humble and open and empathetic. Listening to you is a good lesson, I think, and we need it. We can imagine it, but hearing your authentic voice is makes all the difference. So I think it was worth it that you spoke to us. Thank you so much, really, from all my heart. Thank you so much. And now we have Mr. Ayubi.
Good evening. I'm very delighted to see such a huge public joining us today for this event, and also being part of very highly distinguished panelists here sitting with us. And I'm also very happy to see my professor, dear Professor Schubert here, Professor Schütt here, and also Deputy Schubert here. It's really, I feel being back home. I have the homey feeling, let's say. I actually did not forget my list here, but it's too long, yeah? My friends know if I start, then I will never end talking. But I will try to keep it short. There were a lot of issues raised. There were a lot of topics touched upon. I would start first, since representing the civil society organizations, I'll first point and talk about this part, which I'm here on their behalf. Well, the civil society organization does play a very important role, both in the societies in Austria, but also within Afghanistan, even under the current situation. We are here to provide and also to raise support for the causes which are mostly whether neglected or deliberately forgotten. And this is exactly where the civil society matters. And therefore, we are here to do that job, and it is very important. But at the same time, be it now in Europe or under the oppressive regime of the Taliban, the civic space which would allow us to convey these messages, to say what is happening, to raise the voice, to just give this awareness, is shrinking. And this is unfortunate for all over the world, not only in Afghanistan, even also with the current political atmosphere or the current political direction within Europe. It is alarming. And this is the common concern we all should have. And this brings me to the second point, and that is all the issues which we raised here are actually, if we look deeper, are the same that raised by the international community, and these are issues that matters to the countries like here in Austria, in Europe, and all over the world. And there we come again in the game, and that is bridging this gap, and that is like connecting. Well, I think a lot of issues raised now, the human rights issues, the women's rights issues, peace settlement, or striving for a peaceful settlement of the situations such as in Afghanistan, Gaza, Ukraine, you name it. We have so many burning conflicts around the world, and for so many, many, many years. And that is the most unfortunate thing we have in this world. And this needs to be addressed. And for this, we need to bring the civil society to provide them the space to raise these issues, to listen to them, and to engage with them in a meaningful way. And now this brings me to the next topic, because it was raised, and I want to touch upon this, about the refugee or the migration issue, which is a highly now debated issue within Europe and everywhere. And it was touched by many panelist speakers. It was also touched in the opening remarks. There are some very key issues that are important to take note of. The first thing, we are talking about people. They are human beings. I'm one of them, sitting right in front of you. Once I started to map out how many countries, how many borders did I cross, just one thing that, I can really think of a month ahead of my life, yeah? That's why I just want to say that we should be a bit cautious about the discourse and the direction of the discourse concerning this topic. It was told here that this should not be generalized. Unfortunately, that's the case. Statistically speaking, if we look into those criminal Afghan refugees, even in the whole Europe, comparatively to the whole number of the Afghan refugees and those with an Afghan root living in Europe, it is insignificant. You can ignore that number when it comes to the comparison, but it's an issue. It needs to be addressed. Now, how we address that should be the main concern. That should be the main question. Now, suggestions comes, well, let's deport them. Well, outsourcing is also one of very main policy instruments used, because complex issues need some complex solutions. It needs time to develop. It demands a lot of work to even develop such a solution, a workable solution which is human in nature and the characteristic of that solution. Do we have that discourse? No. This is the alarming part, the alarming part and the alarming developments we have, and this is something which should matter, and this should be something we should include in the discourse about this. Now, I have specifically few reasons to say why it is wrong to say that, yeah, deportation of some criminal Afghan refugees is okay, they can do that. Because I hear that here and there. It's absolutely now in the political debate within Europe, within Austria, within Germany. First of all, we are dealing with that means deportation of Afghan refugees means you deal directly with an oppressive regime of the Taliban, who has successfully, unfortunately, established a gender apartheid, but also an apartheid system as a whole, because of course the woman is disproportionately affected by their regime. But it's the whole population in the country. Disregards of their any demographical characteristic, you name it, are affected by this regime. Now, deporting those under this regime, what brings it? First of all is the matter of justice. Well, yeah, let's deport them. Will these people who committed a crime here bear the consequences there? Will they be put in jail? Will be the justice served for what they did? And do we believe that the Taliban will do that? Are they able to do that? Obviously no. No one in the room believes that they will do this. And this is something we should include, we should bring into the public discourse. The second thing is, we need to go a bit deeper into the roots of these problems. Not talk about what is already seen or what we see, what we perceive. And that is exactly the social part of this issue. I have been active in one of another association that's called Begegnung heute in Melk. It's an association working and supporting refugees, especially the children here. In Austrian's national budget, once I saw there was about 2 billion euros allocated for the integration of refugees and migrants in Austria. There has been no discussion in Austria to say where that money goes, what it achieves. I'm not saying that it's completely not achieving anything, but I want to say that in those old policies developed and actually for the refugees, they have no political participation and no chance to be included, or to take at least their input when it comes to develop those policies. There is a huge gap between those policies. The money is spent, there is a huge bureaucracy behind, but the actual outcome is far below the expectations and what ones wish to have. So, in this context of social marginalization, and also not giving the voice to those refugees, to those already in a very relatively being in a difficult situation compared to those to the Austrians, that can lead to such radicalizations. Not everyone in those communities coming with a lot of problems, especially in the context of Afghanistan after almost 50 years of conflict, not everyone has the support to sustain and to restart and to rebuild. And that's why the society matters, and that's why the politics matters, and that's why it matters what concrete steps are taken to exactly prevent these very tragic incidents everywhere. The last thing in this, the cost-effective assessment would not, in deportation. Well, for only deporting, let's say I would be very generous with this. Let's say we will deport 500 Afghans from the 46,000 some hundreds Afghan refugees living in Austria. What we achieve? What we achieve aside from legitimizing a regime in Afghanistan which actually is in the complete denial of whatsoever Austria's constitution, Europe's constitution stands for. We have some treaties, international treaties were named, but if you look to these all 10 core human rights treaties and many others, you can find, I would say that if one can carefully go through that, almost all of those provisions there are already violated. Shall we just ignore all this? and just move forward, just that we have some, because of some discussion and political things happening here, or we should be more careful about this discourse? This is what I'm asking. And this is what only leads to the consolidation of the regime. Now I'll come, if I have time, I'm not sure, because that's why I want. When I start, I keep going.
1 minute.
That's very generous, thank you. But then also come now the expectations. We do have a lot of expectations, yeah? But speaking from a civil society organization in diaspora, by the way, I'm very thankful to all the panelists here, and as well many guests here who have been in very long discussions in the Vienna process on 2 days long, and still they decided to come and join us today here. I really appreciate you, all of you that you're here.
True.
But it's good then I can also address some stuff which I could not say maybe in person.
Yeah.
Now I'll say that publicly.
Yeah.
So, there are expectations. The first thing, we in the civil society organization in diaspora, we expect you, and that's also the expectation which can give us the strength to engage with our host countries and with politicians, to formulate and to have something in the hand to go to them, that there are options. Most of the time I have been talking to many people in Austria and in many places. What comes that, okay, well, we don't have any alternative. Where is the alternative? Huh? There is nothing. We have the Taliban. What else? Now the Vienna process is a perfect example to say, well, look, if there is a will to change, provide support to the political efforts to settle this very long-standing and a very, very long conflict in Afghanistan in this situation. Now let's not talk about tens of United Nations Security Council resolutions, that if I go again into that, we have hundreds of things that then I only had 1 minute. But this is one thing that we expect, that those active in the opposition within Afghanistan and all the opposition parties, we need to see a sense of urgency. The situation in Afghanistan is so dire, and the extent of the misery and the suffering that the Taliban inflicts upon the public and the people in Afghanistan is not, I cannot find a word to explain it. Mm-hmm. And based on that, what I really expect is that all these opposition parties start to act with a sense of responsibility, and also resorting to and also have this urgency to address this situation. Mm-hmm. If that's not there, you will not give us the more options to go to our politicians, to our host countries, to say, look, we have something for you. It's happening, yeah, and you can support this. But this said, I'm very, very appreciative of what is happening, the movements and also the processes such as Vienna process, which is now moving forward. And I hope that the opposition parties unite further and also engage with the civil society organization to bridge the gap between the expectations within the international society, but also to let us deliver you with our lived experience being in democratic countries. Well, of course I had not yet the chance to vote, but I have my very, a lot of and many Austrian friends and families here who always discuss, and we are always in a close discussion when it comes to the political structure, when it comes to the societal structures here. How can things work? And Austria is a very perfect example when it comes to make compromises in this country. Well, I'm saying it's not as it once used to be, but the perfect example is here. And we can really, and it's very important that these engagements between the opposition parties and the civil society organizations are established to have this exchange and bridge these gaps. I'm very sorry it took, I was extended a bit of the time, yeah?
if I may say so, I think you used your time very smartly. A call to action for the opposition parties, so that you unite, try to find common ground, which absolutely is important because autocrats and despots, they thrive on fragility and emphasizing the differences and opposing narratives. So I think this is extremely important, and voices of dissent need to be heard also within the opposition parties. And again, the Vienna process is for this, I think, a perfect platform. Change, revolutions, reforms, all of these movements need a platform, need a space, and need a safe space. And I think besides everything we can say negative, we can say about Vienna, it's still a very safe place. And I think Vienna can be proud to host this process. And what you also said, the second remark on the refugees, and now after the attack, after the knife attack in Villach, again, we are there where we didn't want to be. And as you rightfully say, the whole community, there it's a Syrian community, will be taken responsible, hijacked for the evil deeds of one person. And we can also already see the reactions that family members don't dare to leave the house, of this community. They fear for the safety of the children, that they might be labeled as daughters and sons of terrorists. So I think this is a wake-up call, that refugees deserve rights, they deserve humanity, dignity, respect, and this is the only way we can weave this complicated fabric of living together, actually together. Now I have a difficult mission. We only have half an hour from, our hosts, I think, will politely close the doors in half an hour. And there will be drinks, and there is I think, outside. So my question is, if we start the official Q&A here, there won't be drinks and there won't be mingling. If we shift the whole process outside, we can interact and we can talk with each other. And I think the beauty of this supported, yeah. And I think the beauty of this gathering, I want to tell you, I've been in so many diplomatic gatherings, in official political gatherings. But this one is very special. It's so informal. And I think it's led by the spirit of your ambassador. I also consider her as my ambassador by now. I will never forget Ambassador Manizha when you said, I naively asked you, we still have an embassy here, an Afghan embassy, the Taliban let you operate here. And you said, no, I'm under the radar. I am the ambassador of the people. This is what we need. Thank you for that. So thank you very much, and enjoy drinks and good conversations and questions and answers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was brilliant. Thank you. I will give you my card as well.